We had been searching at that point for an hour and 10 minutes, or a little over an hour and 10 minutes, and this very seasoned lieutenant came down the stairs after one of his search rounds with his crew. But when he got to the bottom of the stairs, and if you can picture, steel stairway, maybe 36 inches wide, he sat down on the second or third step. His gear was steaming. You could see the steam coming off his gear. He pulled off his face piece, he took his helmet off, pulled off his face piece, and he said, "Chief, I couldn't even make the third floor." And this is a guy who has since left us, he's since passed on, but who everybody respected as a firefighter, and including me. And when he said that, he continued to sit there on the step. I just kind of took a step back. There were about a dozen people staged just outside the stairway, ready to go up in three-man crews. And I took I'd say a good full minute before I actually came to the decision, and I thought it through, and it was one of the most clear moments, I think, in my life that I've ever had. The process I went through, I knew that we were already missing 6. And I looked out into the hallway, and I looked at the faces. I knew some of their wives, I knew some of their children, and I just said, I can't do it. I can't do it. This is over. It's done. If I send these guys up, they might not come back down. And so that's when I walked to the doorway, and that's what I said to them. I said, "That's it. It's over. No more." And you can imagine how they took that. Some of them actually made a move forward towards the doorway, and that's when I physically put my feet against the door jamb and my hands on the door jamb. And I said in a very loud voice, "Look, we've already lost 6. We're not going to lose any more." And that's when they just, collectively, it's like somebody gave them a gut punch. The whole bunch, you saw the shoulders slumped, the heads went down, and I said, "Now let's go outside and set up for defense." And that's when we changed over to the defensive mode. They were yelling at me. Oh, they were, what do you mean we're not going up? What do you mean? What are you talking about? You can't do that. But when I said that about we've already lost 6, it hit home. It hit home. That's when we kind of knew we failed. We failed that night. We always took for granted that when we got into trouble, we'll just get it done and we'll get everybody out. All our training had been geared towards saving occupants, civilians, but what do we do when we get into trouble? And those are the questions that came up that we started to address after that. But it was a very, very clear decision, one that I have never second guessed, one that I am very glad that I made, because the number would have been higher than 6 if we continued. I don't have a doubt about it. And since that night, almost every firefighter that was there in the first 3 alarms has come up to me at one time or another and just said, "You did the right thing. I'm glad you did what you did. Thanks for doing it," that sort of thing. Because a lot of these guys weren't going to stop. They were not going to stop.
They won't stop.
No.
They won't stop.
No.
You physically had to bar the door.
Physically.
You had your
Hands,
full turn on.
like an X, hands and feet, against the jamb.
And you had other guys right there with the Halligans and
Coming towards me, yeah. Yeah, they started to make a couple of steps towards me, and that's when I said what I said. And they backed off, and they realized. They just didn't want to face the fact that we had lost what we had lost.
Where did you come up with the, shall we say, intestinal fortitude to do that?
That full minute that I took. At that point, I'd had 27 years in this business, and I've always been a student of firefighting, and I like the technical aspects. I like the finer points. And when I took that minute, I really thought it through very clearly. Everybody knows the risk-benefit analysis thing, but that's what I did. That's basically what I did. What it comes down to is, are we going to get anything positive out of continuing this. And I just said, no, there was nothing. It was all, we were looking at all loss. You know, the sad part is if the original 2 didn't get lost in there, I would have emptied the building and gone defensive long before that. But once you're missing 2 people, you can't leave. You can't leave. You have to do everything you can. There's so many stories that never came out that night of people that almost didn't get out of the building. I mean, our numbers could have been as high as like 15, you know, 12 to 15 people that almost did not get out for different reasons. Some getting caught in telecommunication wire where they were completely entangled, like a net had dropped on them off the ceiling, that other firefighters, this captain that you met over here that helped me out, he was one of them that was cutting people out of the wires that night. And people were on their backs covered with this stuff. It just dropped on them like a net off the ceiling, things like that. Firefighter, a captain, and the guy that was sitting at the watch desk in there were on the roof when the first 2 got lost. They came down a floor because they said that they were 2 floors below the roof. So they came down 2 floors and they started to do a search to try to find them, ran out of air while they were in there, had to pop their face pieces off, and did complete, 4 walls around. Couldn't find the door out.
Left-hand or right-hand search?
Couldn't find the door out because the doors were flush, and the hardware on it was a drop ring type hardware that sat flush, so you couldn't feel doorknobs. And they went around. When they went all 4 walls and didn't find the door, they said, "We're dead. We're dead." But they kept their heads, and they were taking a beating with this. The smoke was just so acrid and black and acrid at that time. And he went around again, and as he put it, God helped me out of there, because it was a draft that blew the door open just that much. And as he came by with his hand, he hit the edge of the door, found it, got out. But in the process, he ruined his lungs. He ended up, he was a 47-year-old captain, I believe, at the time. And he was a bull, very smart and athletic, and he ruined his lungs. He went down to a 35% lung capacity. Never smoked a cigarette in his life. He had such chemical damage to his lungs. And there were other losses like that too from that night that a lot of the people don't know about. And that's and this poor guy, he struggles to breathe every day now. And
it's alive.
He's alive. He's alive. Yep, he is. And we're all alive with our memories. And come this time of year, I know at least for me, this time of year throws me a little off kilter a little bit. I get a little like out of step with things, and it happens every year. It happens every year, and it seemed to be even worse on the big ones, the 5th anniversary, the 10th, and the fact that there is such a big to-do being made of the 10th anniversary this year with the Firefighter of the Year award for the state being held. There's going to be it's going to be a very big event, very big event. But it's important to most of us that these people are remembered too. We can't forget them. We cannot forget them.
Lessons learned from this?
Lessons learned. Many. NIOSH came out with, I believe it was 9 recommendations, and we've met them all at this point. But one of the big things in the basics that really hit us between the eyes is we were having a tendency to look at fires in almost like a cookie cutter fashion. For example, we have 3-deckers in New England, especially in Worcester, and we are aces at 3-decker fires. They are our bread and butter fires. We know them. We know if the fire is here, we know where it's going to be soon if we don't do certain things, and we do it very well. But I think, and I don't think it was just us, I think it was a lot of fire departments in the country kind of looked at everything from that perspective, whereas when you get into large area and commercial buildings, you've got to think completely differently. The hair on the back of your neck should be standing up, and you have to go in there with even if it's an offensive attack, you have to go in there with a very defensive frame of mind and figuring for the worst, because so many of the reports that I've read was the same thing that happened to us. It was clear. That night we had a tremendous vent going. We used a 12 by 12 elevator shaft, cleaned up the top. We were putting the fire right where we wanted to, right up into the sky. Yep. Within 3 to 5 seconds, that all changed on us. The building loaded up in less than 5 seconds, right to the floor, all the way down to the 2nd floor. It loaded up right flat down, black, acrid, zero visibility situation, and we were in there and doing the searching for the homeless people and everything, and ropes had not been deployed because it was so clear. Everything was so fine. But I talked to Commissioner Pierce, who was then Commissioner of the Boston Fire Department, and he was talking to me at the scene during the recovery, and he said, "Tell me what happened," and I did. And he says, "Sounds just like the fire that Steve Minahan was killed at in Boston." He said, "Clear as can be, 3-4 seconds, black, right to the floor." And I've read that in different reports over the years, that it just, conditions can change so quickly, especially in a large commercial structure.
Yep.
The wall bomb fire in New York City, you know, you can go back in history, you can go over, you know, so that's why we had to start changing our thinking drastically. And the other area is in saving our own. We realized that you can't take for granted that you can pull off what you need to pull off when things happen like that. You have to train specifically for it. You have to do the physical training, you have to do the planning and the preparation, and get the protocols in place. And we worked on that. We worked hard on that. And we also started the seminars that we held here, starting in the fall of 2000. We had the first of 7. And the first one was strictly lecture in the DCU Center, and which was then called the Centrum. But after that, we injected hands-on. And the hands-on was a tremendous, tremendous success. Over the 7 years, we trained approximately 3,000 firefighters from, I believe it was 39 states and at least 2 Canadian provinces that came. And we know that a lot of those people took what they learned here and brought it back to their departments, or even started their own regional seminars in their own areas. So what we did as a department was try to take something good out of something that was really very terrible, something awful. And by doing the seminars, and this was all started by 2 of our lieutenants, you know, John Daly, Andy White, they got the whole ball rolling on the seminars, and it jump-started us. It gave us a new lease on life, shall you say. Because we were reeling after this for months. We didn't know which end was up. Our confidence was shaken. You know, we all knew what a dangerous job it was all through our careers, but it was always way back here, you know. But the warehouse fire brought it right there. And the seminars jump-started us, and they really got us going in a good direction. I mean, when you get a department of, at the time, 480 firefighters, and you get almost 200 volunteers to come out and help with these seminars with no pay, it says something. Yeah, that's it. That's it. It says something, and they all got something out of it. They all got something out of it when they took part. Even the ones that weren't really confident at first, when they saw how the people that came here from all over the country were looking at us, you know, as Worcester firefighters, it buoyed us, you know. It just lifted us, and it got us back in life again, got us going again. Yeah. I was. The cloud started circling a couple of months after the fire, but one of the things that my hat is really off for this department for, 2 things actually, is, for example, I gave one of the news briefings one morning, you know, with 50 cameras and 20 microphones and the whole bit, and I said to the chief, who was a personal friend of mine, I said, you know, "Dennis, how do you want me to handle this?" He said, "Tell them what happened." And we never went into that bunker mode. We've always been an open book. Here is what happened. Here is how it went down, and we were honest right from the start. And I could even see the press when I was giving them. You could see the fangs out at the beginning of the interview, and you know they wanted blood. They wanted, whose fault is this?
Done something wrong. What
Yeah.
did you do wrong?
Right. So I just laid it out, and I just saw them. They backed off, and this is what happened. You know, we fought this fire the way we fought 1,000 other fires. But this time, the building kicked our butts. big time. The building won. And the other thing that the department did really well, and we're right on top of, right from square one, that the night of the fire was the whole critical incident stress management component. They had it plugged in that night. And tremendous follow-up was made available to anybody who wanted it. And to answer your question, I took advantage of it. There was a place called the On-Site Academy. Used to be in Gardner. It's in Westminster now. They deal with critical incident stress management and post-traumatic stress for cops, firefighters, medics, and combat veterans. That is all. It's all they deal with, and they do a tremendous service for the fire service. I got myself a PhD out of that place. You know, I spent a lot of time there, and I'm glad I did. I have a wonderful wife and family, and I could just feel the things spiraling down, and I didn't want that to happen to my life. So I fought it.
I think rightly so. I think you've been called a hero, and I believe that. Is that something you wear?
No, not really. I mean, I've heard it before, but I'm a guy who loved his job, who tried to make the right decision. And, you know, after I just retired last month, and after 37 years, I still love my job. I left this place smiling. I didn't leave it bitter, didn't leave it angry. I left it happy because it's been very good to me. I would do it again. I've met some wonderful people, had some tremendous experiences. It's been, as Dickens said, it's been the best of times, it's been the worst of times.